Welcome back, folks. It's your boy Blunt riding solo. Pete today has to do pick. So I'm all you got, folks. But anyway, happy Columbus Day, happy Indigenous People Day, whichever one you want to celebrate. Let's celebrate. I hope you guys are having a great day. And I appreciate you for coming to join me because you could have been anywhere in the world tonight, but you chose to be here. Now, let's hope that you guys are hearing me because last time my mic wasn't on. It looks like it's on now. So give me a thumbs up if you can hear me just to make sure that everybody's on the same page here and I'm not looking like, thank you. Thank you, Aaron. I'm not looking like a fool or a Japanese flick. So the last couple of shows that we had, hey, what up, Stacy? The last couple of shows we had, it's been a little hot in here under the collar. You know, we had a couple of guests that were bringing the heat. Today, we're going to bring the temperature down a little bit, just a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit. Take a little break, give people a little breath of fresh air. But I do want to say this. We have to send our thoughts and prayers out. Um, to let me hold. On, I gotta fix it up here. Where am I? To the New Jersey transit operator that lost his life today, unfortunately. Um, as you can see here, the train crashed in Burlington County. It killed unalived the operator and injured 23 others. The train was going. It crashed into a fallen tree, and uh, the operator lost life. This is not the actual accident right here. It's just a picture of the train. It's River Line that it happened. Sad that the operator lost his life. The tree was actually pretty thick. You can look it up. Go to New Jersey train crash, and you'll be able to pull it up, and you'll see the size of the tree that it hit. I believe it was on the tracks, and I don't know. I guess they didn't. They don't necessarily check the track. Yeah, freak accident. Operator lost his life, and that's sad. And 23 people were injured in Jersey. So let's send our thoughts and prayers out to them, to him and his family. Hopefully, their union will do right by him. Not that there's a price on anybody's life. Excuse me, let me drink my coffee. Want some? But yeah, just sad. You expect to come home when you go out, when you put your boots on and go to work. You expect to come home safe and sound, and it just wasn't his day. So thoughts and prayers to the family. So with that said, right, there's a couple of things that's going around in social media that's uh driving a big buzz. And since Aaron is here, maybe you can chime in on this also. But there was a post. No, where the hell is it? There was a post. Where did I put it? Uh, don't tell me it disappeared. Oh, here it is. Okay, so there's a post that somebody put up of a guy um helping an elderly lady up the steps. I think it was in Union Square, right? I'm gonna show you the clip, and then we're gonna when we come back, we're gonna talk about it. Let me just show you the clip. It's a short clip, so don't run away yet, just yet. There it is.
Come on, man. I'm gonna make sure this shit go viral. I'm gonna make sure this go viral. Elevators and escalators not working here at Court Square, 23rd Street. Man had to come down here and help the lady. No elevator, no escalator. At one of the busiest train stations. God bless your heart, man.
You see, just that fast, I forgot what station he said, so you guys could type it in the comments. I wasn't really paying attention to what he said. I forgot what stat. He said 23rd Street or Union Square. I don't know. What was that? Whatever station it was. Um, the elevators and the escalators out, and the old lady needed to get up the steps, and so he threw her on his back. Now, for us people outside of transit, I mean, it seems like a great deed, right? Like, well, he should be what a Rob. He should be, commended for that. But it's not that simple. So when you on social media, a lot of people are going against the action. They're saying that that could be, and I kind of agree, that could be a lawsuit. If the lady slips off of him and falls and gets hurt, then transit's going to get sued, right? I get that. Um, so what do you do in that situation when you get in a situation like that, right? Some people say, call the fire department or call the police, call anybody else, but not to Kemp. Please don't go nowhere, bro. Don't go nowhere. You're definitely a topic tonight. Definitely, I think it'd be interesting for you to watch. But again, back to the uh, so what do you do? Do you leave the lady down there? Do you call the fire department? And I don't know. It's like to call the fire department for that seems like a waste of resources. But that might be what is like. I don't know what the procedure is, but I doubt it's for him to do that. I think even though he was going above and beyond his job duties, I think he puts the company at a bad spot to be liable for a lawsuit. Thank God nothing happened. She didn't fall. She made it up the steps. But what do you do in that situation? Do you leave her there? And I'm asking because there's gonna be more. This is not the first, and it won't be the last time that this happens in transit. But for you might have some rookies that are watching and don't really know what the protocol is. Do you do that? Do you put that person on your back and hike them up the steps like that? Well, I mean, at that point, you could be causing yourself injury if you move a wrong way. Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think that is. You know what I think, Stacy. Honestly, so she says pretty sure trans is going to lose their minds over that. I think that they're probably going to reprimand him, right, for doing that because you're not supposed to do that. But I don't know to the extent of the reprimand. I don't know what it could be. It's a couple of days in the street or what. But if she falls, she's suing. Who wouldn't, right? Who wouldn't sue? You jumped on transit worker's back. He's supposed to get you up there, and you fell. Boom, lawsuit. And transit's going to throw him under the bus, right? Yeah. Transit will say, "Listen, you wasn't supposed to do that." They probably try to take his job, or and pay out a little bit of money, but they're going to make him an example. So I really think the best course of action when it comes to that is to call your supervisor, call dispatch, call whoever is in charge of you, and let them make the call. If it has to be the fire department that comes get it, then so be it. Yeah, she could go after him as well. Yeah, I mean, really, what if by holding her, like she had her arms wrapped around him. What if by him holding her like that dislocated her shoulder? Because all her weight going up and down them steps, she could have dislocated her shoulder. Now it's like, yo, he held me wrong and dislocated my shoulder. Now she's gonna be sitting pretty if she ever make it to collect that money because she is a little up there, but you know what I mean. But she definitely will have a lawsuit. So I would advise against that. I get that it was a good deed, it really was, and um in that instance, it's like, do you do you do it first and then ask for forgiveness later, or you just don't do it at all? I think the safe bet is just to call your dispatcher, call your supervisor, and let them tell you which way to go. But definitely don't do that. And then you always got the other passengers who's going to say, well, that guy did it for her. Why you can't do it for me? Yeah, transit don't pay you to carry people on your back. So yeah, that wasn't a good idea. I mean, it was with good intentions. What up, Prama? It was with good intentions, but yeah, that was not a good idea. Um, will he get in trouble? I wish I knew the operators. I mean, the employee's name. I give him a shout out for A for effort, but don't do that again. Because honestly, you're just setting yourself up for a bunch of headache in the end. Yeah, just have them call the police or the fire department to help her get out of there. That's their job. Their job is to, I don't know if he was a CTA or a token booth or one of those customer service people, but I'm pretty sure that carrying people up the steps is not part of your job description, and that would leave you liable for suits. So with that, right? woo-wee, we had what up, Ronnie? We had an incident, Kemp, involving a union rep at Gleason Depot. Now, I was debating on whether to bring it up or not, but Kemp put it online himself, so once you put it out on social media, it's fair game, right? But I watched the video and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? I'm going to show you the video in a second, but I'm like, what's going on here? And I formed my own opinions. Again, the only information I got, because I haven't spoken to either one of them since I watched the video. Kemp's here now; he can speak up if he wants. But and I formed my own opinion about it, and I want you guys to talk with me about it, because it's interesting, and I read the comments, right? What up, E? What's good, man? Yeah, I read the comments, and that's what made me really more interested. And at first, I let's watch the video first, and then we'll talk about it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it is, Kemp. I'm pretty sure it is. It seemed like it came on, like some stuff was already going on, and then you decided to record. So I get that. But we're gonna watch the video, let people see so they get the context of what I'm talking about, because I don't know what's actually happening before or after the video. So I'm sure there's a lot missing, and you can fill us in on it if you like, But let's just show the people what exactly transpired. Well, the bit that you put up there. Let's go.
I'm sorry, was there a problem here?
Please remove him off the property. You can remove him off the property. I'll call you somebody.
I'm sorry.
Please remove him off the property. What's up, y'all? Thank you.
What's up?
Remove who off the property? The union?
Oh, you
Are you working union? And right now you're in here with no vest on, not working.
I'm sorry. Who's on comp? Who's on comp? Why are you harassing me? Why are you harassing me? Why are you harassing me? Do you have a problem with the union being on transit property? Do you have a problem with the union being on transit property?
Brother.
Do you? I'm a union rep. I'm sorry. I'm not provoking anything. I'm not provoking anything. Absolutely, I'm not. He asked me to leave the property?
Yeah.
On what basis?
Where your pass?
Here you go.
You gotta display your pass all the time.
Here you go.
Alright, you gotta display your pass.
Now you show your pass. You're walking through my yard with no safety vest.
Your yard? This is not your yard. This is the transit authority's yard.
Hold on.
And I'm here for a specific reason. Okay? Did you ask me why I was here?
You're not here to see him.
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry. What is your name?
Chang.
Okay, Chang.
I'm trying to calm.
No, I understand, Mr. Chang. Mr. Chang?
You're here to see him?
Mr. Chang?
Are you here to speak to him?
Mr. Chang.
I'm asking you a question.
Okay, Mr. Chang?
Alright, I'm gonna get the supervisor.
Okay. Get your supervisor, please.
Mr. Chang, Mr. Chang, Mr. Chang. I know it's not funny. It really is not funny. But I find humor in everything, guys. But again, there's a lot of context that's missing. Kemp, listen, if you want to, Kemp, I could send you the link. You could join me. We could talk about it. But I'm just gonna. I just want to see what other people. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It did. I think it already escalated before we got to that point where he picked up the phone and started recording. So again, and it's the comments that draw me to it. So there's a lot of people like Aaron who just don't like McBean, right? That's the dispatcher's name. They say that he's been on a tear lately. I don't know. This is just what people are telling me. They say he's been on a tear lately. Giving operators hard time. And so I guess he just picked the wrong one. Okay, I'm gonna send you the link right now. Kemp. Hold on one second, guys. Let me send Kemp the link real quick. Oh wait, I think I can send it to him. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so much for multitasking. Again, so it's just people telling me. Okay. Link sent. I sent it to your messenger, Kemp. People telling me that he was been on the tear, giving operators a hard time, and I guess he picked the wrong guy in Kemp. The interesting thing is he said, I'm assuming that Kemp did not have on a vest. Now he said he was there on union business, but if you're walking in the yard, I don't know. If you go into your car, that's one thing, right? You go into your car, you're gonna pick up your vehicle and you're gonna move. But if you're just walking around in the yard, then maybe you should have on a vest. I mean, especially if you see somebody like him. Harris says, I tried for years to get him removed due to his confrontational behavior towards all. So he's very confrontational. Okay. So it would seem that Kemp was valid in his response to him. Well, yeah, it's like people were in the comments saying, a lot of people like McBean, a lot of people like Kemp. So it's what he's like, oh, like you guys got to work it out, this and that. But it's just that it's sad. Okay, Kemp is here, guys. We're gonna bring the man in. We're gonna hear from the horse's mouth. Alexander Kemp. Kemp, what up, man?
What up, E? What's going on?
I'm good, man. So, I showed the people the video, just so they could get conscious that, like you said earlier in the comments, there's a lot of context that's missing from that. So let's just fill us in on what's going on. What happened?
Yeah, it was I was on my way out of the building. It was my RDO, and I was upstairs in the depot, walking out of the depot. I see two operators. I'm talking to the two operators. One of them is on a bike in between track 8 and I don't know, was it 12? But not like nowhere in the tracks, like on the wall by 13. So I'm talking to the operator. He's on a bike. McBean walks up to him and tells him, didn't I tell you you can't ride that bike in this depot? Get off of the bike right now and walk it out of the depot. I do not want to see you riding that bike out of this depot. I've already told you about that. So I stand there and look at him, wondering who he's talking to. And then he walks back to the operator when the operator's about to leave and goes, give me your pass. Mind you, this operator's done with work. He's finished for the day. He's on his bike leaving the depot. And McBean comes chastising him, talking to him like he's a 6-year-old little boy. So when he started talking to him like that, I asked him who he was speaking to, obviously because there's two levels of disrespect. One, the fact that you could think you could talk to him like that. And two, thinking that you could talk to him like that in front of his union rep is a whole nother level of disrespect. So when I've stated to him at that moment, why are you asking for his pass? Are you intending to write him up?
He said, that's none of my business.
Mm.
I said, excuse me? That is every part of my business. He then went
Exactly.
into full Karen mode and said, you can't be on the property. You're on comp. I was like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're on comp. Huh, I'm getting you kicked off the property. So when he started running like a Karen to security to try to get me kicked off the property, I said, let me record this guy because he's obviously on a different level of psychosis. And I want to document how psychotic he is, because if he's willing to act like that to a union rep who's on his day off, right? And technically he can't do anything to me, but to knowing he's being recorded, knowing that I'm speaking to him in the capacity of a union rep, knowing that I'm speaking on behalf of a member that he just violated verbally, to still go to that level and still try to empower or like use security or management or some mechanism to try to enforce his will on anyone shows how capable he is of violating people when there's nobody around, right? So that all of these things, all of these this guy has like 30 G2s written on him. He's had workers take him out for workplace violence. In the last year, there has been so much complaints against him. And that's why you can look at the video and just see the temperament of most of the people. So if there's 180 people who commented, maybe 6 or 7 who just might be his friends, right? Don't have an issue or feel some type of way. But the overall tenor behind that video is everybody kind of knows how he responds. And he's done this to a lot of people. So it was important to document it for the purposes of identifying, listen, if this guy is willing to do this knowing he's being recorded, can you imagine what he's doing and saying to people at 11 o'clock at night? It's insane. It's insane. And there's been meetings about him, and there's been, emails sent, and Aaron has called special meetings to address his behavior and how he conducts himself as a supervisor. He's the same one who tries to take people out of service for using their headset in the fuel line. Yet he's almost gets hit by a bus because he has a headset and he's so focused on, lying to a supervisor, right? To a safety officer. And the poor safety officer, this kid is like got an hour on the job, right? And it broke my heart. That's why I didn't want to give it to him. I didn't want to give it to him. That's why look, I had to keep telling him, like, yo, young man, listen, this is not what you listen. Look, I forgot his name, right? But and he was he's a kid, and he was being so kind, right? And I'm just like, yo, bro, do not let this guy try to weaponize you against me, because it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be like real bad. So I'm not gonna escalate it with homeboy, right? I'm gonna give him the power to do his job, because I get it, right? Somebody walks up to you, a dispatcher goes, yo, I need help. This guy don't know who I am, right? The guy's just like, listen, I see McBean, I guess, every day, so I'm gonna listen to what he's saying. I don't know this guy who I'm speaking to, so I let him do what he had to do. But I just wanted to let him know, do not slow walk yourself into something very, very bad, because this guy is 100% wrong, and you don't even know what transpired prior to getting to the security office. And just to be clear,
And somebody that must have been McBang cut him off. Yo, just click back on it on the link again, the same link. It should work. Somebody
on behalf of the member that I was representing. So the superintendent came. He said, hey, what's going on? He said, you came from the union. I said, yeah, great. He said, do me a favor, just don't record him in the fuel line. But, if you want to record for your own safety, just to make sure you document what transpired, there's no issues with that. Great. Have a good day, Kemp. Wonderful. Okay, that came and went. And then I stayed there another hour and, kicked it with the rest of the operators for the rest of the day. So it wasn't like, this situation where it escalated and it became violent or was level 1000. It was just that it was a moment that had to be documented, because there are so many people suffering at the hands of this guy. And it's very rare that, and I tell people, listen, he does all kinds of stuff. He moves buses. He's driving buses at night. He's going out to the apron and the ramp line and making Arctics drive around on the opposite side of traffic. And I tell everybody, listen, I can't be there 24 hours. But if you see him doing something, just record it. So at least we have video evidence to support what everybody's arguing against. And what kind of pisses me off also is that there's some operators that be co-signing him. That when there's one operator who takes issue with him and they write him up, he'll go get another operator to say, oh, well, maybe maybe, you know, the person didn't understand what McBean meant. You know, McBean is fair. I don't care about none of that. There has to be a point when we draw a line. Listen, I don't care if he's your friend, right? I don't care if he's your uncle. At the end of the day, there has to be a certain decorum that's maintained by him in the yard when he's speaking to union members. And I'm not going to pass. I don't care what he does. He could write 1,000 G2s against me. It wouldn't matter, right? He could do it every day. But he should know for sure that whenever I'm present, if he speaks to somebody left field, it's always going to go up. I'm never going to let him get away with that. So that's kind of what it was. And it just had to be exposed and had to be shared because there has to be a different mechanism. Like you almost have to shame them into addressing his behavior because it's obvious that all the other means that have been used to address him haven't bore any fruit.
So is there that's kind of a hard thing. Like, is there any other course of action that you guys can take collectively as a union against?
I don't know. When you say collectively, that's a very broad statement. Collectively meaning who?
I mean, because you said you have more than one person that can attest to his behavior.
Yeah, I mean, it's documented. I mean, I think there's like 30 G2s on this dude, right? So if management is not going to move on someone who's actively every day overstepping his boundaries as a dispatcher, or potentially could just be a tyrant, or has some other issues going on, I'm not going to speak to that because I don't know. But it just seems that he does not have the ability to just do his job and not go beyond that and make anything personal. I don't know what his problem is. Ultimately, what I do know is that there are way too many people who have the same argument about how he behaves and conducts himself without it being properly addressed. Now, who deals with it, how they deal with it, whenever they deal with it, what kind of bothered me was, you know, I heard some references to say, oh, Kemp just did that because it's election time. No, Kemp did it because it was a moment that I would happen to be there. And it just so transpired that at that moment I was there, it presented an opportunity to showcase him on full display. It wasn't like some calculated, you know, whatever. But, you know, I cited in the post that there are other people who see him do it every day and don't do anything. And that's just the truth. I mean, you do have a lot of people who are running in the upcoming election that work in Gleason. Right. And that's just the truth. Right. You have people running for vice president. You have people running for other titles and they see him every day. You think they're oblivious to it? Former offices, new offices, current offices. So you can't have 7 people in Gleason who have the ability to address this and they just turn a blind eye or just whatever. All right, whatever it is whatever it is. It's not, I'm just not going to waste an opportunity to highlight what he's actually doing when it presented itself in real time.
Correct. Okay.
Right. Because if I didn't do anything, think about this. Right. They were talking about something that happened the other day in RTO where the union was present and they took somebody out of service and the union didn't do nothing about it. Right. Well, how would I look if I stood next to a member and just allowed a dispatcher to come over here and chastise you like a 6-year-old kid? And I just be like, oh, well, you know, maybe you should just walk that bike off, you know? What? Who are you talking to? Right? I mean, we have to take a hard line on respect. And E, you've been around a lot longer than me, right? So I came on like the tail end of the old guard, but there was always an understanding, a certain cordial respect. Listen, whether you disagree and you're going to put pen to paper or there's going to be some infraction that you're going to cite, there's a mechanism for that. But you never, ever go out of your way to demoralize or belittle somebody when you're a supervisor or manager, especially in front of the union or at the union or ever, right? I mean, there has to be a standard of respect. And he has a legacy of violating that line. So whatever, you know, at that point, there is no, you give what you get. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So at this point, it's like what Emmanuel was asking here. So what's going to happen next?
I don't know. I think he wrote a G2. I know there were emails sent out today. Obviously, because of that video, it's gotten a lot of feedback from upper management regarding a lot of the infractions that he was identified doing, and whatever means are taken to address those. You know, we'll identify those, I guess, this week and see how they deal with it, right? Because obviously, if you want to stand there and tell somebody about what they're not in their proper PPE, You walking around with a Giants hoodie and a headset in your ear probably doesn't reflect that you're on the clock conducting business as a dispatcher at SLD, because I'm sure you have a uniform, and I don't think a Giants jersey is part of it. Right? I don't know who he is. Right? I mean, let's just say I was a stranger walking around the yard. How would I know he's a supervisor? I don't know who this guy is. Guy looks like a psychopath. Of course, people have been in the bus, brought in, sleeping. I have no idea who this guy is. Oh no, this guy just told me I'm on workers' comp and he's gonna have him removed off the property. I don't know what he's talking about. This guy is insane.
Well, since I got you here, right?
Yes, sir.
You opened the door for these election things, right?
No, I didn't open the door, E. I didn't open the door. It happens every 3 years. The door never closes.
No, but one of the main questions was that, well, one of the things that we were hearing, especially here on the show, is that you kind of sold out and you went to work with JP and you kind of left Rob and them flat. So since you're here, you can address that to people that been hearing it, especially from people here on the show.
Yeah, no, E, that's like easy, right? That's like saying, you want a ribeye and Pathmark ran out. So you go to Aldi's. I mean, did you sell out on Pathmark because you wanted a ribeye? Absolutely not. Yeah, if you want a better union, right, you have to remove your personal feelings and get to the gust of it. I mean, people are far too emotional. If you think about the biggest complaint that people have about me and Gary, it's not that we don't do a good job. It's not that we're not good reps. It's not that we're not accountable. It's not that we're trying our best and that whatever we promise, we've tried to live up to. No, people are just saying they're bad because they're not our friends anymore. I mean, do you think you know how insane that sounds? So ultimately, right, there's only 2 times when you can be oppositional. That's during a campaign and that's during a contract, right? Anytime in between that, you have a job to do. So what is my job? My job is to work on behalf of the people who elected me, period. End of story. Yes? Whatever gains them the greatest outcome, that's my only responsibility. My responsibility is not to eat lunch with anybody. My responsibility is not to take home and have barbecues with people that I like, love, or indifferent. Whoever is my friend doesn't necessarily mean they're the best quality for whatever the job or the task is. I've always used the phrase, I love my sister, but I would never let her do my taxes, right? So we now had an opportunity for the last 3 years to see who was going to put their best foot forward to achieve some of the things that we came out the gate and promised last election. So now if you're running a race and someone falls short, it's like when you draft a quarterback. If that guy's a bust, you got to cut your dead weight. At the end of the day, I'm not accountable to whatever you don't do. I can't speak to whatever nobody did. I can only speak to what I did. I'm accountable for what I do, right? So if I have a job to do, I wake up in the morning, I put my best foot forward, and there are aspects of this job that are not on paper, right? There are attributes of being a union rep that you can't learn from a book. Right? That you have to learn from people who actually lived it, for better or for worse, right? One of my unique life skills is that I can learn from other people's mistakes. So whereas I don't have to step in that same doodle twice, if I see you step in it, I walk around it. Right. So when they say, how is it that you guys possibly could be working with JP? I don't even know what that means.
I think the confusion comes from before you guys were together and you were running on the slate with Rob and them, that that whole team was just bad mouthing JP to.
Yes, you know what I said I'm guilty of? You know what I said I'm guilty of? I did such a good job in making people hate JP. Now I have to fix it, right? I did such a great job. Shame on me, right? Now there are parts of that were political in nature, and there were parts of it of aspects that I was living in real time, right? At that moment, during the last election, let's keep in mind, I didn't know anyone we ran with other than Rob and like the people from Gleason, but none of us were reps. Me, Rob, Roberto Chico, Ronald Springer, Ronnie Santabello, right? It was us out of Gleason. It was Rob, me, Springer, Roberto Chico, and Ronnie Santabello coming out of Gleason. Those are the ones I knew. I did not know Gary. And Donahue Clark. And I did not know Gary, and I didn't know Ron Carter. Never met them, right? Saw them at a union meeting maybe twice, had no idea who they were. There were aspects of last election, if you remember, people said, how can you be running with Ron Carter? How could you possibly? Kemp, You're a good guy. Don't make the mistake. That guy, Ron Carter, was removed from being a chairman from East New York, right? They chastised us for it. They were giving out flyers against him in the street, saying to us and used it as a campaign framework that we were giving someone a life who didn't deserve to ever be a rep again. It's a fact, right? But that didn't matter at that moment because, again, I judge everyone off of who they are that day. There are people with 3 years or less who came here at the beginning of last election, after the turn of it, and said they hate JP. And I go, excuse me, you've been here 3 years. What did JP ever do to you for you to hate him? Oh, I don't know, but they said. All right, well, stop. Start with the fact of who are they that said it. And I assure you, and I've said this to JP, and I said this to Gary, and I said it to Rob, and I'll say it to anyone. If for any reason I believe in our department there was someone more qualified to run for vice president today, we would be running with them and it wouldn't be JP. Easy. That was an easy pick. But I'm not selfish and obnoxious enough to assume that just because my ego is on the forefront and I believe I can win an election not using JP, that I should just go say, you know what, I want all the glory, me and Gary, because everyone tells us we shouldn't help JP get another life because of what happened last election. I would say we judge him off the last 3 years. That these 3 years, there are a lot of people who have been against us on our team, who are working against the interests of the people to actually suppress me and Gary. But I didn't come out and do lives every week and talk about all of the little nuances of what people were doing politically to undermine us, to weaken us, to not allow us to grow, right? There's a lot of those components, but I'm not a baby. I don't sit around and cry, right? I'm not gonna go and you know get on my what is that when you basically I'm not gonna cry because the members deserve better than that. Nobody cares, right? The people who voted for you don't care if you gotta fight the whole union hall when you get elected. You gotta fight 5 of the chairs. Because remember, if you remember, right, there are people in Grand Avenue who can't believe that Clarence was running with us. Can't believe that me and Clarence were able. Thank you, Hop Soapbox. Look, there were people in Grand who literally cannot believe that Clarence is running on the same ticket as Alexander Kemp, considering the video that I made about Clarence and how I disrespected him. Nobody talks about that, right? Because at the end of the day, and I humbled myself to Clarence because I apologized to him because everything that I said for political purposes, and it was based on trying to establish something that I wasn't even aware of. Basically, I made in front of him because of a picture that was in Gibson's office with him with the red suit on and started calling him Clarence this and Clarence that and turned into a whole thing, right? Defending another member from his depot who was against him, all of those components, right? And not to rehash it, but I just want to use it for a point of reference that there has to be a point when you become adults about what's really, really important. And there are things that are personal, and then there are things that are like, okay, I understand, I get it. We both were going to petition for a job on the 17th floor in Merrill Lynch, and you wanted the corner office, and I wanted the corner office, and we both give our resume and present it to the senior manager, and we say, hey, listen, John, you know, I think I should get the job because, you know, Will, who's coming for the job, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but he leaves early every day. And, you know, he has a problem with it. You know, he takes a little drink every once in a while. It's probably not the guy you want for the job, right? And then at the end of the day, one of you are going to get the job. But you go back to the 11th floor, he stays on the 17th, but you both work for Merrill Lynch at the end of the day. I want to know who really puts the value of Local 100 at the forefront. You know who I've identified? The ones who are able to put those differences aside, even as extreme as they might have been, and try to find what's really the greater good. And the greater good can't be a union title. It can't be you're coming together just to run and win an election. Because we did that last election. We came together, we ran an election, and we won. And you know what happened on day one, E? There was work to do. And you know what happened when there's work to do? Either you're going to rise to the occasion or you're going to settle in the back and watch everybody do what they're doing. And I don't want to speak to what nobody else did. I think the people have already identified it. And the way the people identified it is they say, oh, we love Kemp and Gary, but we just, you know, we just don't like that. You're not running with who, right? I mean, Rob's already identified what it is. We've already had these conversations. Time waits for nobody. And the business of the union never stops. 24 hours, 365 days, 2 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, 12 in the afternoon. There's always something to do on behalf of the people. And as you go, you learn, right? You could be an all-star quarterback in college. Once you get into the NFL, you could be horrible because the speed of the game changes, the dynamics change. And there is a component of having someone tenured there that gives you certain aspects of the job that you cannot get in a script. And in full transparency, a lot of those aspects and nuances, we've learned a lot from JP. And I would be blasphemous to say that he hasn't helped us along this journey and given us some good attributes to continue as union reps. Now, does that mean he's perfect? No, absolutely not. And you will never get me to stand before anyone and tell you that this human being, like all human beings, is not infallible and he's not flawed and there's not components of who he is or how he's became that I have issues with or don't have issues with. But I've also understood that those issues always have a way to be worked out. And many of the issues we had with our own team, we tried to work out. But at the end of the day, if you're not going to work them out because of egos or individual personalities and the work can't figure that out, then it leads me to believe that you're not really here for the work, that you're not really here for the real goal. And that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? I don't apologize for it. It's just strange. Like we take a step back, E, and I'm like, is that the biggest complaint you got? You guys are great, but you're working with somebody we don't like? What does that mean? But are you saying I'm bad? Tell me what I did wrong as a rep. I'll take that. I'll speak to that. But don't tell me that we've made a decision on what we believe is the best way forward to strengthen this department. And in some way or some form, the framework is that you're a traitor. Betrayed who? I've never betrayed the people who elected me. That's a fact. I've never took a day off when they needed me. That's a fact. So to frame it any other way, that's politics. That's all politics. And whatever they can, whoever they are, could frame it whatever they want. But the people are truly getting the benefit because we all found the way to work together, for sure.
Okay, so all right, so
did that answer your question, E? Because E, you asked me a question. I have to give you, because there's, like I said, there's context to everything, right? And sometimes, I've been watching people with the sound bites and the posts and the 12-page characteristics, and I could respond forever, but for what? You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like at this stage of the game, a lot of the people everybody's been around the block long enough, right? Everybody's been around the block long enough that they should be able to identify what they're actually seeing and know that in order to get a better union, you got to start department by department, brick by brick, right? That's my belief, just for the record. I believe truly you're not going to get a better union until you fix your own house. It's like a neighborhood. If you want your neighborhood to be, if you want your neighborhood to be better, clean your stoop. Come out of your house, sweep your steps, clean the front of your house, make sure the curb on your steps are clean, right? Mm-hmm. And then you can look at your neighbor. But don't tell me about the neighbor's house when you got garbage sitting on your front porch. And I just ask everybody to carry their own water.
All right. So, one of the things that you're maybe before you just came in where we was talking about the union fighting for the unborn, right? I'm sure you're aware of the situation that's going on between the MTA, the union, and the retirees, right? So it's the whole thing with the Medicare issue. And for those that don't know, as people that's watching don't know, retirees are fighting MTA right now. They're in court to fight for their option to get traditional Medicare back because the current administration had put them on the Medicare Advantage plan, took them off in January and put them on without giving them the option, just took them off. And so they're just fighting to get the option back. So there are questions for you. And a lot of it is coming from the retirees community.
I'll give you a fun fact before you even finish that statement. So when this first transpired, there was a video made by a gentleman from our depot who retired, right? I guess I could say his name because they did a video with him in it, right? So it was Murphy, right? So they did a video about how he was going to wherever he was going for treatment and that this facility no longer was going to treat him. And I saw the video. When I saw the video, I called Murph that night. Murph, what is going on? You're losing your what? Murph, if this is true, then the union's lying. I want to go with you to the hospital tomorrow. Let's not wait. I'll meet you what time, Murph? At this hospital where you're getting this life-saving treatment. I meet Murph 9 in the morning at this hospital. The next day, I don't make it fanfare. I don't put up, no. This is real life. Ain't a joke. Meet the man there. We go into the billing department. We go into the treating department. Murph has a whole stack of papers and things highlighted that he had a booklet of information that was given to him and questions that he should ask pertaining to what's not paid for, what is paid for, the level of treatment, the doctors. We stayed there for 2 hours, with the people who process the codes and the billing department for each one of these specific treatments that he's getting to identify that none of them would be changed in the event this coverage was not the other one, right? Okay. I'm not leaving with him till he felt satisfied with the answers. We leave, go outside. I actually even put up a post that I was like leaving there. And then people started sending me messages. Oh my God, Kemp, praying for you. I was like, oh shit, I got to take this post down. I was like, people think there's something wrong with me, right? All of that to be said. No, it was crazy. People in my family like, oh my God, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine.
No,
I just ended up going here with a member, you know, and he was very appreciative that I went with him, right? Whatever happened after that, he then left. And then I guess people were mad that he went and like got the answers that they didn't want him to have. I guess I didn't know what that was about. Like everything I've done in regards to that was genuinely try to get to the root issue and try to find resolution in the event there is one or not, right? I mean, there are things that can't be political. Some things just are facts and they are what they are. What bothers me is that there's spin attached. You can argue something is bad. And I won't disagree with you or agree until it's presented that it's bad. And then if it's bad, how do we fix it? Okay, one component might be going to court. There's another component, and this was another hysterical thing, that when I said that they should file a grievance, and you know, however many people were like, oh my God, Kemp doesn't know the rules. You can't file a grievance when you're a retiree. He doesn't know anything. Oh, he's an idiot rep. Oh. Well, there was something placed in the contract, right, that states clearly retirees' benefits can't be reduced, right? That your benefits can't be reduced. So there is a mechanism to challenge that in the event that it is, right? There is a grievance line established for that. And in order to try to establish that grievance line, what did Alexander Kemp do? Along with Gary Rosario, the first or one of the earliest meet and greets they had at, I guess, the rec center that's around the corner from the hall. I don't remember the exact street, but it's like 3 blocks away or 4 blocks away from the hall, like in the back of Brooklyn Heights on the first level in that big building. I don't know, you know, but they've had other meetings there. And it was one of the first meetings and they put an open invite. And I told Gary, gee, let's go and let's go sit in on this first meeting and let's hear from the retirees who are being ill affected, because I want to take their problems back to the hall and say, hey, guys, union, these people, these are real issues. This is what they're saying is wrong. And I need to figure out how we fix this. In the event there's a fix. And if there's not, what is the response to the no fix? And when I went there, I will say Lloyd Archer was there. Julio was there. Anita Clinton was there. Lloyd Archer was a gentleman. Julio was there. There were like 6 other retirees. They were very welcoming. And Anita Clinton came to me and I was only there for like 10 minutes. And she was like, you are not welcome here. We want you to leave. I said, okay, no problem. I'm not going to argue with you, right? I came here with an open heart and a free mind to try to, in the event that there is something that I'm not being told or being misled or lied to about, to be a support beacon, a conduit between you and the hall in the event that there's a disconnect. I feel like that's my responsibility. So at best or at worst, me and Gary went there really to just try to get some insight onto what they're experiencing. And maybe there could be a loss of translation. Maybe there's something we don't understand. Maybe it's something they don't understand. Maybe it's something we're all being lied to about. But let's collectively, right, find what the issue was. And when you ask me to leave and tell me that I'm not welcome here, well, what would you like me to do beyond that? I mean, at that point, and then I've spoken to people at that meeting, and they said, well, basically, the fix, they don't want to come in the form of transit solving whatever might be incrementally wrong. That, in essence, this has to play itself out in court. Okay, well then that's the case, right? Then I can't fix that. You're going to go to court. You're going to have your affidavits. Whatever case is going to be presented is going to be presented. And whatever help I can ever support somebody with, I mean, to anyone to suggest that people are selling out to retire, I'm just speaking on behalf of me. I can't speak to somebody else. I don't know anybody else's heart. I don't know anybody else's, intentions. I don't know whatever. What I can honestly say is that, I hear people say that the union reps have a different medical plan than actives or retirees. That's insane. They don't. There is no different plan. I don't know anybody at the union hall. I speak for myself or anybody who's whatever tenured who has a different health insurance plan than any active or any retiree. I know they keep saying that the union reps have like a Cadillac plan. I don't know what that means. I've asked about this Cadillac plan and nobody could tell me. So these are kind of the things where I just wish people would be honest. I hear people saying that, traditional Medicare, that your regular Medicare is being traded away. I hear people saying that the 2% that you pay is for the retirees' benefits and that they've paid into it their whole career, where the 2% is only a bridge, right? The 2% carries you from 55 to 65. That's what the 2% pays for. That was established back in the days. I believe it initially started at 1.5% and then it went up to 2%. But that was put in place to carry you in the event that you retired at 55 and then up until the time you reach Medicare age, you would need a supplement to carry you from 55 to 65. And that's what the 2% pays for. Whatever. I don't eat. I don't mind. I will sit in any room with anybody at any time, at any moment. I am fully transparent, but I'm not going to debate lies, right? And I'm also not going to allow people to browbeat or like redirect what the issues are. If there's an issue as an adult, there are people who have been here for a very long time. I even heard, okay, retirees don't have the right to vote on their benefits, on the retirement. Okay, those retirees that state that, they've been here 30 years prior to now. They've been on the e-board. They've been elected. They've been high-ranking union officials. So these issues became so profound that it affected them after their tenure. And when they had the ability to make these same decisions they're condemning us for, they never made them. So say what you will, and I don't know if it's right, wrong, or indifferent. I think everybody lives in their own time and has a responsibility for that moment in time. But to suggest that we're the worst generation in history, that we've sold you out, that there's an interest in giving away everything we believe that we fought for, I don't know about other people. I can only speak for myself. I can speak for Gary as well, that these issues keep us up at night. And, I would just say, because I don't want to be petty, I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm just not. Like,
say what's on your mind, though.
But you know why? Because I can't make it personal. Because to me, it's very easy. Because I know what people are saying. I know what they're doing. I know how they're doing it. And I feel it bothers me because if there's someone who doesn't know the difference about what they're being told or don't understand the context or the nuances of what they're being framed for in a political season, right? That ultimately it makes people not want to even take part in the union. And it makes them feel so browbeaten and so broken that they feel the system is so bad. And I will tell you, your union is not as bad as you might think. There are a lot of good people, good reps that really do care about like how the contract is implemented, how to fight transit, how to look for new and inventive ways to gain more power back from management. And I think sometimes you got to be real careful because you can potentially set us back 10 more years if you don't, I guess throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't think that is the solution to every problem. I don't think you have to burn the house down to build it back up. I don't think that everything that's wrong is happened over the last year and a half, right? And the things that are manifesting themselves today took a very long time to materialize. And a lot of, I guess, inaction in years past have led to kind of the consequences of today. So how do you do that? Some people think about fighting as lighting fires. And they say, oh, you're a fighter if you're willing to light the fire. I also think there's a component of fighting where you have to put out fires, right? There's a part of it where you have to say, listen, this building is burning, right? And there's a baby on the 8th floor. Let's put out the fire and save that baby. The baby is the union. And I believe that for the next 16 years that I'm going to be here, I have the ability to help shape that future. But in order to do that, I have to stop the bleeding. People say, what did you guys do the last 3 years? We've been cleaning up a mess. We've been spending the last 3 years, the last 2.5 years, fixing a lot of things that were created by the regime prior to us for 10 years. And I will never shy away from that. That is a fact. It is a fact that the day we got elected, we walked into 300 step twos that were pushed off from the prior administration. That is a fact. It is a fact that Kemp was already broken prior to us getting it. Also remember that there was a designated Kemp coordinator prior to us being elected. Also remember that there were 5 other reps released to do the same work that 2 of us are doing now. Do I come on here and cry about it and say, oh, woe is me? Guess what resources we don't have that the old guys had? Oh, we need the same thing they had? Or do you just wake up and say, you know what, whatever I don't have, I'm going to make the most of what I do? So then what, right? At the end of the day, you take the dish that you were served and you eat it with a fork. I'm not apologizing for doing my job. The only thing I ask is that people identify who's not, because that's very, very important.
So one of the main questions that people have out there, hold on a second, is about the contract that kind of gave away the retirees Medicare. And he's saying that, did you vote yes on that contract?
Wait, when you say gave away the retirees Medicare.
Well, this is the actual question.
Look, it's very important, right? So when you say gave away the retirees Medicare, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be very careful, right? Because the retirees, I'll give you the framework. Currently, does 100%, this is important because there's context. 100% of the retirees' health insurance was paid for. Let's just use yesterday as an example. 100% was paid for. 80% was paid for by traditional Medicare. 20% was paid for by transit.
Right.
Today, 100% of it is paid by Aetna. Right? That's what the difference is, right? 100% was paid for.
I mean, that's like the big picture.
But remember, the action of it means you had full coverage yesterday, you have full coverage tomorrow. Now, the arguments, fair arguments, right, are that there might be components that changed in that transition. The retirees' current argument is they took away our choice to have traditional Medicare. Correct. That's a fair argument. That is a fair argument. I will infer that by definition, no one can take away your right to traditional Medicare. As a citizen in the United States, you're always entitled to traditional Medicare, right? You're not entitled to the 20%. So in other words, today, I'm sorry, E, go ahead.
Well, what happened was they swapped them out from traditional Medicare and put them on the Medicare Advantage plan. So some people
Right.
didn't have a choice in that. And what they're asking for is the choice back, because what happens is on the Medicare Advantage plan, with the hospitals that don't take it regular, like the hospitals that they've been going to for 20, 30 years, all of a sudden don't take that plan, or they need special surgeries or special medicines that the plan doesn't cover. Then you also have what they call where you have to wait for them to approvals. They have to wait for approvals. Some things you get denied.
Pre-authorizations for certain
Right.
treatments.
Right, and then it all chalks up to a diminishment of what they had. And like you said before, that's in the contract. They're not supposed to get their health care
No,
diminished.
and E, I totally agree. Totally. You will get zero argument from me that in the event there is a specific diminishment, and I'll use, it's important. E, it's important for a very specific reason.
Just 1 second. Mark, this was not planned, bro. This was not planned. That's why I didn't say anything about it. Kemp just happened to come on, and I'm very happy to have him on. So that's why we got this explosion going on. But it wasn't planned. Go ahead, Kemp.
No, I got you. So whatever, where was I? Lost my train of thought. So
I know.
When this is see, that's that union rep 101 when the brain gets stuck. But if we're talking about a specific issue, and I'm framing the component of where a diminishment of a benefit would be. I'm going to use the transition when we would transition, because since I've been here, we only had United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and then we went into Aetna, right? I think it was GHI and HIP prior.
Right.
Maybe you could speak to that better than me, but I wasn't here for that. So the way we were able to get the Aetna open access or the United Healthcare initially was because I guess the HIP Center provided all of those services for free as long as you went into the HIP Center. And because all of those treatments, the doctor, the tests, the MRIs, the medicine all came from the HIP Center, those treatments were covered under the United Healthcare. Okay, so I come to transit, I get United Healthcare. Some people had the high option, they were getting the Blue Cross Blue Shield. They were paying $50, I think, every 2 weeks for the Blue Cross Blue Shield. That was the high option. And I never understood why anybody would pay $50 every 2 weeks, because I was getting everything covered as a diabetic through United Healthcare, no copays, no emergency room fees, no urgent care fees. And people who had the high option of the Blue Cross Blue Shield were paying $15 for visits, so on and so forth. Fast forward, we now switch from United Healthcare to Aetna. Now, in our contract, we have that there can be no diminishment of benefits for actives, right? So going to United Healthcare, from United Healthcare to Aetna, there are certain medicines that I take for my diabetes that Aetna, well, at that time it was Prescription Solutions. I think it switched over to Optum RX, whatever it was, wouldn't pay for it. They said that medication, there's a generic version or an alternate medication to that. We're not going to pay it. That medication is no longer covered. I reach out to Chris Lightbourne. Chris, I take this medicine. This is the only medicine I can take for my diabetes, because the other medicine, let's just use insulin for a point of reference. I can't take insulin because my CDL. Long story short, an email gets sent. That medicine was added to the coverage list and forever in perpetuity was paid for, right? Never again ever had to have another question about that specific medication. Same issue with Wegovy currently, because people use it for weight loss and there's a shortage. And just my belief is that if there is a deficiency in any plan, if there's a mechanism to make it solvent or stronger, I believe that we can make everything stronger and make transit pay for it anyway. So my question is why, prior to going to court, if we felt there was something wrong or something that diminished our quality of care, why wouldn't we present it to the transit authority on behalf of the union and the members we represent to get it to be paid for forever? So that was the question. And then the response was, no, we're going to go to court. So then my answer to that was, so when people, I said all of that to say, to frame it, when we voted to send the contract to the membership, absolutely I voted yes to send it to the members. And when we voted yes to send it to the members, you know what it did? It sparked the conversation about what was in Medicare Advantage. It created a dialogue about what was in Medicare Advantage. There were a lot of components that people overlook when they talk about why we sent the contract to the members to vote on. There was a component when they talk about, because I remember in one of your other shows, there was posts or comments under about how is it possible that TA Surface in the first time in history didn't get any departmentals. And I will tell you for sure, Pete, Blunt, you and Pete championed the ABA treatment and the autism treatment. That was you guys' baby. And people tried to steal it from you guys. Were going to rallies for it. You guys were going to conferences. You guys, that was a departmental request from TA Surface, for sure. And how did that happen? We presented it as a departmental. We also presented 3 other things as departmentals. And those things were taken from the department and put into the main table. That doesn't mean they weren't departmentals. They just put them in the main contract. That doesn't mean that wasn't a gain for TA Surface. That was a gain for the whole union. And anybody who would argue against that, who doesn't think it's important, I will assure you, there is an abundance of people who have children with autism in our union who, I saw somebody write who has a fake profile that you can get that treatment from the DOE. I assure you, you can't. I assure you, you cannot. And the cost of those treatments, the DOE has a cap, and you're not in school 24 hours a day, right? There are treatments and resources that are required, and the levels of children with autism is not the same. They're high function and they're very low function. And to have something paid for and built into the contract that helps children with autism is a very important win for anyone. I don't care what anyone says. $4 an hour for Arctics. Everybody says that $4 an hour for Arctics is a joke. It's a waste. It's only for vehicle time. It doesn't cover everybody in TA Surface. It doesn't cover everybody in the whole system. Every department doesn't gain from it. Well, train operators get to top pay after a year. We got 6 years to top pay. Is that equal? There are components of every department and every aspect. There are people who shift, who get more money because they're able to shift, because they can pick the yard and other people can't. Nothing is fair. Fair is short for fairy tale. Equality is important, and what you fight for, you look at as a gain, and then you build off of it next contract.
All right.
And again,
we are over time, but I want to invite you back. I will
always come back. And just to be clear, just for people listening, I see people calling me a liar, whatever.
Would you mind being on a panel with both Evangeline and Ed Gator?
Yes, I would mind. You know, I would mind because for the very, very specific reasons, right? More so because they don't want to be honest. And I don't know Gator. Let me speak to that. I don't know the man. I've never met him. I've never had a conversation with him. He seems very passionate about what he's saying. And I'm not really into disrespecting people, and I don't want to disrespect anybody or get caught up in pseudo politics while people are trying to platform themselves in an election. I think that I have always been accessible to have conversations. I am elected. I am a rep. I'm responsible to everybody, to the whole union. And if there's something, I mean, honestly, right, and just imparting, there was a point when I privately had sent Evangeline a message early in the game about Medicare Advantage and, you know, what some of these issues are. Maybe she should bring the issues to the hall and bring these people to the Retirees Association and see if they could fix it. And she went on a full tirade and did a whole video about me and called me a sellout and people playing in their face and don't send me no private messages. And again, it was all done with
a genuine spirit to have, you know, because I saw her fighting for something, I did not want them, before you used every resource the union has available to you, why wouldn't you exercise that right before you went to another means? That was my only question. And they weren't interested in that resolve. And at that point, you know, they pretty much told me where I could go and what they thought about me. And at the end of the day, they closed the door to any level of communication. So us debating right now, I'm not the president, right? I'm not the president of the union. I'm not, you know, whatever, but I am accountable, and I don't mind speaking to anyone, any member. Listen, I go to places that nobody goes. I stand before, there are people who are vicious when they present themselves. There are people who hate me from last election. But as I tell everybody, there are 600 people who voted against us last election. Do I represent them also? So when people say, how are you working with JP, or how are you running with JP? Didn't he represent a large voting bloc last election? Do they get absolved? Do whatever reason they were supporting JP and company last election, whatever purpose or reason or rationale they had behind that, do we forget about those 600 operators just because they voted against us? Does their interest still matter? So does an operator in Flatbush who had all their runs cut to 8 hours, do they have a right to see a contract that's going to allow them to make 46 an hour? Do they have a right? Or do we just think about the people we don't like? Okay, let's talk about all the people we don't like, and let's make that our platform. No, I'm more responsible than that. I know there are people who don't like me. I still represent them. There are people who talk horribly about me and smile when they see me. Do I care? No, because at the end of the day, I have a bigger vision for this union. And I understand sometimes you got to take 2 steps back to go 5 forward. New Directions started in what, 1983, 84? They elected Roger in 99. Took them 16 years to put forward a president. Battle after battle, incrementally organizing department by department based around their ideals and principles of things that they believe matter. And we're still spending a lot of the capital from the results of that type of organizing. But if you keep trying to take people out every election and don't use a certain amount of responsibility, then you're just going to lose every time. Win the battle, lose the war. And everybody just wants to win the battle because they're more interested in their own egos and their personal ambitions. I assure you, I could have ran for higher titles, but I'm not selfish. And I've told everybody, last election, what position did I take on the slate? The recording secretary. I put everybody before me. This election, I didn't say, oh, because, you know, I know a lot of the people who supported us last election want JP out. So let me and Gary figure out how we're going to be the vice president and division chair. No, but at what detriment? At the burden of the members? Absolutely not. That's selfish. So sometimes it's more brave to take all the hits from the people who might want to call you a sellout or might want to question who you are because you made certain decisions. That's more brave. That's more brave because it's easy to just do like what somebody said on the internet. You and Gary could have won with anybody. Why would you help JP? Because it's not just about winning. It's about doing the work. So whatever. But yes, I'm always available. I'm sure from now until election, I'll have a conversation with Evangeline. It probably won't be on this because it's not going to be based on whatever. It's going to be a screaming match. My throat is already hoarse. McBean's taking up all my energy last night or the day before. But listen, I'll tell you one thing. I have a lot of respect for anyone who believes that the union should be better and is willing to fight for it. Everybody's fight is not the same, and what they think is the right mechanism to achieve that might not be the same. So I encourage everyone to get involved in the union. I encourage everyone to get involved and run their race. You can say whatever you want about me, but it's not going to stop me from waking up tomorrow and doing my job. So I'm here. And again, this was not planned. I called to speak about one specific thing, and sucking me into an interview. But I love you either way, my brother. And you never get enough credit for all of our great videos last election. So thank you.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you coming through on the last second thing. And
I got you. But we'll listen. I'm not. I'll speak with anybody. To be honest, I'll get on any time. We can all have a conversation. And
And I don't
Listen,
pretend to have I don't pretend to have all the answers. I'm sure there's 1,000 things about 1,000 things that I don't understand. The crookses and the nookses of it. You know, I can listen to a Tupac record from the 90s and hear something different today that I didn't hear in 94. So there's always things that you can always grow on, especially when you're a rep. But one thing you got to do is not be afraid to make decisions, because that's what leaders do. And sometimes the decision might be the best outcome. Sometimes it might have some hiccups. That doesn't mean that you say, you know what, I'm the worst person in the world and I don't deserve to be here and whatever. You build on it, you fix it, you learn from mistakes, and you do better tomorrow. And I think that's what adults do.
Right. So I'm gonna let you go because we're already like 20 minutes over. Well, I appreciate you
I
coming
got you.
through. I hope you could. I hope I sent you a link before, but our next Zoom, we're going to invite you to the next Zoom for the retirees, so you can just listen in. You don't have to say anything. I hope you and Evangeline and Gator can get together. It doesn't have to be on this platform, but you guys get together and hash out whatever hell's going on there, because that's comment section is going crazy right now. But I appreciate you coming on, Kemp. I really do. All right, and I'll catch you
You
next
have
time.
a good night, man. Take care of yourself.
All right.
Be well.
All right,
Peace.
later. Guys, listen, Evangeline, Gator, I'm not gonna bring you guys in and you know, a last second thing. I will always make sure that the other guy's comfortable before I bring anybody in. I wouldn't do that to you guys, so I'm not gonna do it to him. So if he agrees to at some point sit down with you guys on this show or without the show, and then I'll definitely do that. Definitely cover it for you guys. But right now, as people that's watching, Evangeline is the only one who's actually fighting for the retirees. So I'm trying to get other people involved in that because it's a big issue and it's a serious issue. And speaking of that, you guys should come on out to bingo night. It's Motown Bingo. Just coming to have fun. It's going to be Sunday, October 27th from 1 p.m. at Brooklyn Sports Center, 1540 Van Sickler. Bring out the family, $25 to get in. It's going to be 50-50, Motown Bingo. Going to be prizes and all that, you know. Come bring out the family and have fun. We're raising money because, you know, the court case is still on and we're still fighting for that. Comment section is going crazy. Again, guys, just because he's not here anymore doesn't mean he doesn't read the comments. He reads the comments. If he decides to answer, that's on him. I appreciate everybody that participated. This was not planned at all. I just wanted to bring him in to talk about the issues that happened at Gleason, and this is what we got. Hey, listen, I appreciate everybody that came through, made your comments, left your comments, and joined me. So with that said, I gotta go eat, y'all. I'm hungry. Y'all holding me up, man. So for Brooklyn Pig, I'm your boy Blunt. That's the end of our show. And wait. I can't do it just yet because I gotta set it up. And there we go. Fuck them if they can't take a joke. Later, guys. So